Well, I've got the fuel filter out of my car. This is the Toyota Avensis, and it was hard to get off. Now I've got this fuel filter wrench, and if you're going to try and turn it like I have, get it on the ground, but don't pry on those. Don't put your finger on those. You got to hold the body because these things can be easily bent if you're putting a lot of torque on there. It was on there way too tight. Didn't need to be all that tight, but that's that part of it. Once I got it off, you need something to drain it into, and then the sending unit that tells you if there's water in there is at the bottom. And there's just no way you can do it in situ. So there's two bolt holes at the top. You got to take, in my case, you have to take the air box out. I tried to leave that one on there. See where the two screws are? Then there's hoses. They're going to line up in the right place. There's not going to be any question about where they go. That one there is going to be at the top. You know, it's not going to be. It's going to be. And then there's a little clip here that connects the sending unit. You just need to press on that somehow to get it to release. And need something on the ground to collect any spillages. So there's no way you're going to get your hand in there to do anything underneath. You can't turn that thing down there. So the whole thing has to come out. And it's just once you've got it out, it's easy as can be, really. Now the reason I'm changing it is because I don't know if it's been changed before. And the original day I bought the car, I had to put petrol in there. It seemed to run fine, but the last time I'm going on a trip this weekend, and there's one hill where the first time I went up that hill, I had plenty of power, but the last time I went up the hill, I was over in the slow lane. So, and then it seems like taking off in the morning is kind of sluggish getting going. So hopefully that's going to cure the problem of slow starting. And then also the gas mileage, petrol mileage, warning, diesel mileage, whatever you want to call it, is let's see, where is it? Display. See, my average on the speed is only 20 miles per hour, so I drive a lot around town driving. Now, a minute ago it was 24.9, so we'll just call it 25. Now that's 25 around town at 20 miles per hour average. So when I put this on, this car is supposed to get 35 around town. So I'd certainly like to see it get 20, 29, 30. And really, I thought it would be a lot better than my 01 Avensis, but the 01 Avensis was getting about the same around town, but it never got up to 50 on the motorway. And this, I think if you're careful, you can easily get 50 if you drive at about 70. But that's hardly ever on my agenda at 70 miles an hour. So the new Fram filter, I got it on sale, 17 pounds. You need the new O-ring at the bottom for the water sensor. I'm going to give that a little dose of oil. The new one, make sure that's in place, and I'll smear that with some motor oil and stick it all back together, and then hopefully it'll work. Alright, thanks for watching. Okay, so the fuel filter, it's pretty windy out here. I'll have to try and shield the wind. The fuel filter is in place now, but what I did before I put the bolts in, the whole thing in, I put all the hoses on first, because you can move it around a bit. Otherwise it's a bit tricky getting them on there. So if you put the hoses on before you bolt it down, it's going to be a lot easier, I think. So there's the connector for the water sending unit, and now all I got to do is put those two bolts in there, and then at the top, here's the primer pump right here. So you're going to have to prime it. It might take a couple of goes to get it to go, but just push that until it gets really firm, and then push it a little bit more. It should be okay, because you got to fill that filter with fuel. All right, thanks for watching again. Well, I had to adjust the dimmer so that you can see it. So when I got back from the trip, the 268 miles on your left there, it was 32. So I've been back for a couple of days, and it's slowly going down. 30.8. Now, as far as performance on the highway, which is what I was hoping for, it did pretty good. On a couple of hills, I had to downshift quite a bit. Maybe been in fourth for a little while. Fifth seemed to be working pretty good most of the time, but considering I was trying to keep it up around 80 miles an hour, I don't know if that makes, it must make a lot of difference, because the mileage for this car is supposed to be 35 around town and 52 or 55 on the highway. So just for my own curiosity, one of these days I'm going to go out and drive it about 65, 70 for a ways and see what happens. But that's too slow for me. I like to be over in the fast lane moving right along. So there we are. That's the end of the tail of the fuel filter change. At the moment, you know, it's about a 5 mile per gallon better average, but we'll see. Now, if you've got one of these cars and you want to reset the thing, you disconnect the battery and the average will disappear and you can start all over. There might be another way of making that average go away. If I hold down, that's the brightness. If I do the display, and if I hold that down, there we go, it goes back to 0 just by holding the display button down. So now that'll be actual mileage around town. I could wait a couple of days and see what happens before I post this next video. But so that's one little trick you can learn there. Okay, bye. Okay, since I reset the average gauge there by pressing on the button and holding it down, I drove it about 4 miles at about roughly 40 miles an hour, maybe a little more, and I ended up getting 31.9, and I'm quite impressed with that. So that's a lot better than I was expecting, and to me that tells me that the engine's working properly. If it was getting a lot less than that, I'd be concerned. If it was down around 25, I'd be thinking, well, something's not quite right. But 31.9 at 40 miles an hour, maybe a little more, is pretty good. So quite happy with that now. And I think that's the end of these fuel filter videos for now.